What's up, guys? It is time for the Global Warning Podcast supplemental episode. We are joined by Arinda Storm Weaver, a woman that very rarely cuts her toenails, and they are incredibly long. You're not going to want to miss this.
Because it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
Tell me how all this got started. I haven't even introduced you. Sorry. So let me introduce you to the guest. I did announce that you're going to be on the show. This is Arinda Storm Weaver. I don't even know how to properly describe what you consider yourself. So before I butcher it, why don't you just tell the people what it is that you do?
I am a fetish model.
Easy enough, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get into doing what you do? Because this is a humongous arena right now, and it always has been, but it's become more lucrative as of late due to the internet and things like OnlyFans and things like that.
Yeah. Well, it started when I had breast cancer.
Right.
Okay. And after I had my breasts removed, I was chatting with a friend down in Australia, and I had made a typo, and I blamed it on my fingernails. They were probably about half an inch long at the time, and every now and then they would catch a different key than what I intended, you know? And so he asked if he could see them, you know. So I took some pictures and I sent them off, and I had one that was starting to twist. And so he explained to me how I could get the twist to untwist, which didn't work for me, but that's okay too, you know. And I liked one of the pictures that I had taken for him. My hand looked like a claw.
Okay.
You know?
Right.
And I don't like them called claws, by the way. Yeah. Okay. At that time, I was on MySpace. So, I mean, this tells you how long ago this was, right?
Yeah, that was about 15 plus, wasn't it?
Yeah. About 2006.
Oh,
yeah. So I had a picture of just my eye on my profile on MySpace. And I decided that I was really tired of looking at just my eye. So I put this picture up. And my routine was every weekend Saturday I would take the polish off. Sunday I would repolish and be done for the week, you know. And the next week, I went ahead and I did my nails, and I took about half a dozen pictures, and I posted those. And the next week, I did the same thing. And all of a sudden, I had people requesting to be my friend.
I bet you did.
Well, you know, I had a lot of people following me because I was doing a blog on breast cancer,
Right.
You know, and I noticed that the people that were asking me to be my friend at that point, most of them didn't even have a picture on their profile.
The old egg.
Yeah, exactly. And there was one guy on both of their profiles that actually had his picture on the profile. I went, okay. And I noticed that he lived in Holland. So I was like, okay, he's far enough away. And he's got his picture up, so it's okay. I can message him, you know. And he asked me a question. And that question kind of changed my life.
What was the question?
Did you know that there's a fetish for long nails? And I was like, nuh-uh.
Wild in Holland. They love their fetishes. They're really big into fet life out there, and their sexuality. They're very open about that over there. So
oh yeah, I've been to Holland a couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so funny, so funny. I had gone to visit a nail guy, and he had taken me on a tour through Amsterdam, and we were standing by one of the bridges waiting to cross the street. And there was a lady in one of the windows, and there were about half a dozen guys trying to get her attention. Mm. She knocked on the window to get my attention. And she went, very nice.
You're impressing. You were impressing while you were out there.
Well, I usually do.
When did you start growing your toenails then? Was that at the same time, or was that came subsequent?
No, it was a little bit later. There is a guy in the UK that runs a website called Nail Passions. Right. And he had a picture post on his site. And basically what I did was I had to resize all the pictures that I had, because you could only do little thumbnail size pictures, you know, back then. And I accidentally posted all my fingernail pictures to the toenail picture section. Yeah. And at that particular point in time, I worked in an office. I was an account specialist for a manufacturing company, and I had a regular job. So when I came home from work, that's when I resized the pictures, and I went ahead and posted them. And I probably should have been a little more diligent on where I posted them, you know. Well, when I got up in the morning, I had a message from a nail guy. And he goes, please don't be upset if your pictures are taken down, because you accidentally posted your fingernail pictures to the toenail picture section. And I went, oh, shoot, you know. But as it turned out, that particular nail guy, his job was moving art around from like Chicago to New York, or New York to Chicago, and, you know, just all around, you know. He was based out of, I think, Houston. But he told me, you know, we had sent a few messages back and forth. and he told me that he was going to be in my area, and he asked me if we could meet for dinner and if he could take some pictures of my nails. I said, sure. You know, I mean, we're meeting at a restaurant, so there's plenty of people around, and, you know. Okay, so we did. And then he asked me a question. Oh, Lordy, did he ask me a question. He told me he usually tags the pictures with either the lady's online ID or her email address. Right. And he asked which I wanted. And I said, my email address is fine.
I bet you got slammed with emails after that.
Well, when he got home, he processed the pictures and he sent some off to a forum called Nail Bites, which is no longer in existence. Darn it. But, yeah, when they got posted to Nail Bites, I got home to literally 5 hours worth of messages to reply to. And the next night, the same thing. And I noticed one particular common thing with most all of the messages I was getting. Mm-hmm. And that was, please let your nails grow.
Mm. That's awesome. So you're getting all these emails. Mm-hmm. Was it at that point that you decided that this could be lucrative, or was it just kind of like, shit, this is a pain in the ass and I don't want to respond to 5 hours of emails every day?
Well, no. I mean, you have to understand, I was fresh meat. That's plain and simple. That's what I was, you know. And as soon as there was someone else new come along, most of them moved along to her.
Right.
You know, that's just what they did. And I mean, I was fine with that because it was just entirely too much stuff coming in, you know.
Right. This is still 2006, or are we closer to like 2007, 8 now, or?
Well, I was introduced into the nail community at the very tail end of 2006. Okay. And there was another lady that had been in the nail community for a few months before I was introduced into the nail community. And she lives in Holland. When I went to Holland, not only did I visit her, but I also visited a nail guy. Okay. So, she was the one that pretty much got me into the idea of going on cam, becoming a chat host. And when I told her how much I was making, she was like, oh my God. You know, but I mean, it just, as with anything else, it dwindled, you know. Right. And I have a Clips for Sale store that I've had for longer than I was a chat host. Yeah.
Is it something that you feel that would expand as like a business? Because obviously right now, I mean, and I say it in America at least, because over here in Europe, it's always seemingly been this way. They're very open sexually over here. You know, they have big beaches and things like that. Germany has an amazing porn industry and always has. You know, whereas things in America aren't quite the same. You know, it's very it's just a certain way there. It's just different. Now it's opening up. It's opening up quite a bit. You know, there's back when I left the States in 2003. Sorry, I moved to LA in 2003, but it was just starting to pick up with, like, the internet was really starting to be a vehicle, I guess, for things.
Mm-hmm.
And people were really starting to get porn online and things like that. You were still buying DVDs and things like that. And then in the next few years, it just exploded. And then porn was free, and there's all these websites, and now you're not paying for anything, and it's all available. And now it's okay to openly talk and discuss about this stuff. When that sort of time frame hit, so we're fast forwarding from like 06, 07 to like, say, like 2000, like 2000, even 2010. Just jump forward about 3 years. Did the industry pick up for you, or did it remain consistent, or how has it changed, do you think?
Well, that's pretty much about when I became a chat host.
Okay.
And so I would say it picked up. People were willing to pay to talk to me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when you quit your job and you're like, screw this, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. I can sleep when I want, and I can get up when I want, and I can go online when I want.
All right.
Yeah.
Can't beat that. Can't beat that. Have the requests changed? I don't know how that works, because obviously I'm not familiar, but because I mean, you can only do but so much, or at least I would imagine do so much with your nails. I didn't know that there was a way that you could make it so that they didn't curl. I've always seen them, women with these ultra long, look like Funyun nails, I used to call them, because they curled up. So do you get a lot of requests that are unique, or is it pretty much standard? Can you take a picture of, your hands holding this or doing that type stuff?
Sometimes I actually have to think about something new and different. I have one guy that when I have a certain color on or whatever, he's drawn, and he wants a video.
Right.
And I've scratched soap for him. The one thing I never do is porn. Never. I do not take my clothing off on cam, ever. And, everybody knows that at this point. Everybody that knows me knows that, When I get somebody that's new to me, they will ask, and I will tell them no, and they either stick around or they don't,
What do you see as like the next frontier for you then, or do you think that it's going to be sustainable where you are? Because you said before, like, things started to drop off, and then you move into a different avenue, similar stuff, but just different.
I honestly don't know. I'm not doing the chat host thing anymore. It just got monotonous. And I still have my Clips for Sale store, which I have not updated in a very long time now. But I still get checks from it.
Really?
People still buy the old videos,
So you think that maybe putting some new stuff up might generate some new interest, or?
It does. But I'm lazy sometimes. It's true.
It's the luxury and the curse of working from home for yourself. Trust me.
Yes.
I'm well aware of that. I don't even have pants on right now. So,
Oh. Yeah, I'm talking to guys like that.
So, I should be charging you for this. So how do you keep them healthy then? How does that work? Because I would assume that, and I don't know, because once the nails reach a certain length, they pretty much die, right? It's like hair follicles. Once the hair comes out, it's pretty much just dead, and it's just.
Well, my fingernails have an acrylic overlay and an acrylic underlay. My toenails have an overlay, and that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my nail is in there.
Yeah. How long does it take you to paint that then? Like to say just your hands?
Well, my process is I take the polish off. Another nail lady told me how I could do this easily, and she was absolutely right. I have a bowl that I put acetone in, and I take a toothbrush and I take the polish off. Because what I found was when my nails got to be longer, the skin on my thumb was breaking down from the acetone.
That's no good.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's no longer around. She went by the ID of erotica. And I definitely thanked her for that. But yeah.
A couple hours then?
No. Well, okay. I take the polish off of my fingernails. Depending on if I've had lifting or whatever, I will work the acrylic on my nails. And when I say nails, I'm generally talking fingernails. On my fingernails. And then I take the polish off of my toes. Then I repolish my fingernails. So I don't deviate from that process. It usually takes me a couple days.
So that's some work.
Yeah.
How do you keep, this is the question somebody has tweeted me from earlier. How do you keep yourself clean? It seems like that would be like a hurdle. And it seems like it's a very common question that I've come across. Because
did they say clean or did they ask how I wipe?
How does she wipe? How does she keep her ass clean? How does she wipe her ass?
I do. I just do.
Did it just become something that you learned how to do, and it just becomes easy? It's got it.
Yes.
Got it wrapped. That's hilarious. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I can't ask that question. We're deleting that one.
Why can't you ask it?
Because you've already answered it, kind of. You said you don't close off, but people are saying, because there's such and this kind of tied into what I was asking earlier about what's next. Because when I was in LA, there's a huge erotic scene in LA. Like there's the first bar I went to was a place called Miss Kitty's Parlor, and I'm like looking at the newspaper, thinking, oh, okay, the lady on the picture is hot, and then they've got dollar drinks before 11, so I'm going, And then I get in there, and everyone's in latex, and I was like, okay, I didn't know that this is what was going on, and it ended up becoming my spot, because they were only open one night a week, and I would always go there because there was always like some cool stuff to see, and they had DJs and so on. But it seems like that you could expand this empire and take it into a different direction. Have you ever thought about doing any type of like video where you're not, doing you're not involved in any of the sex stuff, but I think people, they marvel, and then you get this anyway, but they marvel at the uniqueness of the situation, I guess. And
They do.
That could be something that you could make a lot of money with.
I don't think that I would make as much money as what you're thinking I could make. First of all, I am older. You know, I'm 58 years old.
That's not okay. That's not
what.
That's,
what?
58. Like you said, 70 something, and even then, you know, there's a market for all that. It exists. It's out there.
Well, believe it or not, I had a young man come up from the Dallas area 2 different times to polish my toenails. Literally, he came into town, he polished my toenails, and he left. That's what he did. Right. Okay. When he first messaged me, I did not know how old he was. He was 13.
What? How did he get to you at that age?
Well, he got my email address and he started emailing me. I have learned to ask how old they are, because that just boggled my mind. When I very first met him, he was 21, thank goodness, you know, but they don't care how old I am.
Oh, so he didn't come see you when he was 13. He was like emailing you at that age. And
yes, he was buying videos.
Right, okay. I thought he showed up to your house and he was 13. That's what I meant. How did he get to you?
No.
Like you pulled up to the airport and there's like this child on the corner with a suitcase. And then you said he came twice. I was like, what the hell? You didn't say sorry after the first time? Yeah, come on back.
No, he had been a very long-term client.
Right.
And so when he asked if he could come and polish my toes, I said, sure. You know, and we booked a room and that's what he did.
Amazing. That is amazing. We could go on all night about this. I have to cut you loose. I can't stretch this past 30 minutes, unfortunately. So I will definitely be contacting you again to bring you back onto the pod. Normally I have another 2 people on the show with me. One is working and the other one is we just finished a different podcast and she had to go. But so tell people where they can find you on your social media, or if they want to buy video and things like that, or they want to check you out.
The easiest place to find me at this point is generally Instagram, and I'm Arinda Storm Weaver.
Simple enough. Arinda Storm Weaver, thank you very much for joining me today. Can't wait to put this up and share with the rest of the people out there in the world. Keep those nails healthy, and thanks for joining us today.
Bye.